Hi, and welcome to today's live stream of Opturion's AlertSafe platform. So today we will be demonstrating our platform, which allows you to both analyze existing rosters as well as build AlertSafe rosters. We'll be discussing these tools as well as how you can get involved with the early adopter program. At the end of this live stream, we will have time for a Q&A, but please feel free to ask any questions in the chat section below, where my colleague Julian will answer. So we'll begin by discussing how you can analyze your existing rosters with the Opturion Roster Analyzer. So this is an application which takes your existing rosters and uses our software to check them for both fatigue and their risk. So it runs in an Excel format, which means that it is easy to use, and you can convert your existing rosters very easily. This allows you to compute not only the fatigue and the risk, but as well as some other general KPIs. It's fully customizable for your business rules, and it can be made staff-specific by setting their commute time as well as their age. So what I'll show you now is an output from a pre-analyzed roster. So here we can see the output. On the left, we have our staff IDs, which have been anonymized. We have their shifts, as well as their fatigue and their risk score for each day that they worked. The easy color coding, you can see that the orange shifts here and otherwise indicate a medium level of fatigue, whereas the red highlight shifts indicate a fatigue level exceeding what we would recommend as a maximum bound. This also provides you with a day summary with some daily KPIs, some staff KPIs, including the shifts that they worked, their total hours, their hours per shift, as well as their average fatigue. You also get an overview of your entire roster to see your average risk, maximum risk, as well as your fatigue and fatigue warnings. So I'll move on now to show you the actual AlertSafe roster building tool. Now, this is a tool for which to build your AlertSafe rosters. It runs entirely in the cloud, and it uses industry standard security practices. This runs on both desktop and mobile browsers and allows you to means that you do not need to install any software or applications. Users of this software are divided into what we call administrators and staff, with your administrators being responsible for the management of the roster, which involves the building, as well as defining things like shifts, roles, and coverage. So what we're looking at currently is a desktop view of AlertSafe. I'm going to log in as an administrator, which is our person here. Sorry about that. There we go. So what we can see here is the desktop view of a roster. On the left, we can see our staff, who are color-coded by the color associated with their role. Across the top of the screen, we see the dates, and in these cells, you can see the actual shifts. Here we have a day shift, which is color-coded green by the color associated with this shift. Now you may see that these cells are fully colored in and contain a little eye icon, which indicates that these are assigned shifts and that they are visible to the staff. Over here, we can see our shifts are represented by bars rather than fully colored in cells. Now these indicate that these are requests and they have not yet been assigned. Also here, we have a comment put in by this user that they are going out for dinner that night. So comments are only visible between the staff member and the administrator. So I'm going to move on now to show you how you will define the components of your roster, such as shifts, roles, and staff. So we'll begin with shifts by clicking the shifts logo over here. So the shifts page allows you to manage the shifts in your roster. We can add additional shifts as well as manage our existing shifts here. So if I look at the Add New Shift, this brings up a form where we can type in the name, provide a start date, as well as information about the timing of the shift. We allow you to manually select whether or not it's a night shift, whether this shift is a non-working shift, as it might be an annual leave shift or a study leave, and also select whether or not it counts towards coverage. We will be explaining coverage later on in this presentation. You can also associate a color with each shift. If I click on an existing shift, such as our night shift here, we can see all this information is present and allows us to make changes as we would. You can also delete shifts. Roles are similarly defined with the ability to add a new role as well as modify existing roles. Roles do not contain as much information as shifts, as they do not have start times. However, you can provide information whether or not you would wish to count it in the coverage, a role color, as well as provide a date from which this role is no longer applicable. This section, however, can be left blank. If we go to our staff section, I'll increase our staff here, we can see all the staff who are associated with our details. So we have the ability to add users as before. We can also perform a bulk upload of users or staff via an Excel workbook. Each staff member can be edited where you can change their login details, their role, department, provide an email if you wish and mobile, as well as say when they started working and if they've if they've ceased working. You can hide the user from the active roster if they're on leave. You can make this user or an administrated user, and you can also lock the user to prevent them from logging in. Additional methods include to be able to change their password or to delete them from the system entirely. So I'm going to go back to our roster here. We can view these cells. Now, we're going to look at how a user would would make their requests for December. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to log out from an administrative view and log back in as a normal staff member. So as you can see, the staff view is slightly different to the administrative view in that they're presented with a calendar which contains only their shifts. So initially, we're looking at November. We can see the work that has been assigned for November with the padlock indicating that this cell cannot be interacted with, and the full colored shift indicating that this has been an assigned shift. If I move forward to December, we can see most of the cells are still locked. However, the week here, or the 8 days from Sunday through to the 8th, have been opened by the administrator. Now this allows us to begin making requests. To make a request, you right-click in a cell, move to the request menu, and then select the type of shift you wish to request. So we're going to request a day shift. In the desktop view, you can also select multiple shifts by dragging with the left mouse button and making a similar right-click and then request. So you can make multiple requests on any day, as well as add comments, such as dinner. Once again, this comment is only visible between you and the administrators. Now, as part of the AlertSafe package, we actively track requests for rules that would violate the CRC, alertness, and safety rules for shifts. So for instance, here, we have a day shift and an evening shift request. If I was to cancel, say, this evening request, and instead say that I wish to work the morning on a day shift, I get a little pop-up here indicating that there is an alertness warning for this particular shift. Now, in this case, we can see that the pop-up window says it's a quick return, which would indicate that if we were assigned the evening shift and then to follow it with a day shift, this would violate the quick return guideline from the CRC. If I cancel these requests, there are additional rules, including a limit on the maximum number of shifts you can work in a week, in a row, as well as the maximum number of night shifts. So here, if I was to request 6 night shifts in a row, you can see that the maximum number of night shifts have been exceeded. So this provides instant feedback. It means that you don't have to process a roster to check for fatigue. So I'm going to cancel these requests and then put in some more reasonable ones. So some day shifts. Here we can see that even though we can't see the shift here, that it was a night-day rotation, and so this shift would probably not be approved. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel that and make some requests for the rest of the week. I'll put some evening requests in. So what I'm going to do now is first of all, I'll show you the staff view. So this is a similar view to the roster as before. However, this allows you to also interact and make your requests via this page, which may be more convenient. As we said before, you can see other users' requests. However, you will not be able to see other users' comments. So what I'm going to do now is log out of the desktop view and briefly show you the mobile application. So here we see the login page. We're going to log in again as Nicholas Burney, who's one of our users. So because we're doing this on a desktop, to simulate a mobile view, we've unfortunately gone to the wrong page. So I'm just going to reload this for you. There we go. So this is our mobile view of a user's roster. So here we can see the assigned shifts, once again, fully colored in, as well as a status, if that shift has been locked. So in this case, as this is assigned, it has been locked, and we cannot interact with that cell. If we go forward, we can see here the requests that we made previously. We can also add requests here. So if I was to say add a request for Saturday, I can click on the cell, request a shift, and then select a shift. I might say that I would like a day off, and I will request annual leave. We can see that that has been added to the cell. We can also make comments, so I'll edit comments here. So I'll say dinner, birthday. So I'm going to log out. I'm going to log back in as our administrator and show you how you go through the process of assigning shifts. So here we can see the roster view, as well as the shifts that we've just requested here for Nicholas Burney. We can also see some other requests here from Magdalena, which we were not able to see the comments before with Nick. So to assign shifts, we highlight the cell, we can right-click, move to the Assign sub-option, and select a shift. Now, as we can see here, there was a night shift allocated 2 days previously, and if I try to assign a day shift here, I get a warning immediately that the night-day rotation rule has been violated. Now, once again, we don't prevent anything from being assigned. We just we show you the warnings and allow the user to make the choice. So I'm going to delete this assignment. I'm going to move on with a further rostering. So here, Nick's requested a day shift as he has a dinner birthday. So we're going to go ahead and give him that. So assign the day. So we can see here that it's fully colored in. And if I hover over the cell, I can see that the requested shift is a day shift. Now, unfortunately, Nick's not going to be able to get his preference here because I'm going to assign him another day shift. Now we get a little warning that pops up. And what this indicates is that although he has requested an evening shift, we've given him a day shift. Now, as with the requests, we can highlight multiple cells at once. So here, we can assign by right-clicking and then selecting the role. Now, I might decide to add a comment for Nick here. Sorry, I changed it. So here, I can add a comment saying that leave approved. And I can then assign this to him. So that comment will remain behind the scenes. So what I'll show you now are some of the different fatigue rules that we have available. So I'm going to expand this roster to 4 weeks. So you can see here, I've opened up additional periods. Now these will remain locked to staff for the meantime, as I've got the little padlock icon here. So if I was to look at Shane Lopp here, and I was to allocate him, say, additional shifts, or here, say some evening shifts, a couple more day shifts, we can see that immediately the exclamation icon appears to warn us that not here, the maximum number of consecutive shifts have been exceeded, as well as here being a quick return. So I could delete this assignment, and we can see that the fatigue warnings disappear and that this is an approved shift pattern. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to assign for Magdalena here. And I'm going to publish these cells so that the users can now view their roster. Now to do this, I can select the cells, I can right click, and I'm going to click Publish. You can see that the eye icon appears to indicate that this is a visible shift and that the users can now see them. Now before I move back to the user view, we're going to briefly discuss the different rules available as part of the AlertSafe package. So if we see up here the eye icon, we're just loading these images. This takes you to a page which describes the rules as part of the CRC guidelines so that users can familiarize themselves with the rules, as well as provide examples of each different shift violation. So we can see here there is a violation of maximum consecutive shifts, consecutive night shifts, a quick return, as well as a night-day rotation violation. Now these settings are initially set to the recommended settings from the CRC. However, administrators can modify them in the settings page, including turning different checks on or off for both administrators and for users, as well as changing the settings here for changing the maximum number of consecutive shifts or their nights. So I'm going to log out. I'm going to log back in as our user, Nicholas Burney. I'm going to go to December, and we can see here that Nick's shifts have been published. So these are visible to him, and he can view them. If I move also to the shift view, and I move back, to November, this page allows users to view who's working, on what day, and in what shift, where the users are color-coded according to their role. So this provides a quick view of the people that you'll be working with for that day. The staff view also allows you to view everyone's rosters, once again without the comments. So if I log out, I'm going to log in again as Nicholas as a mobile user. Sorry, as we're doing this on a mobile, replicating this, it's not quite behaving itself. There we go. So here we can see the mobile view, and here we can actually view the shifts that we've just allocated to Nick. So if he logs in his mobile, he can instantly see his roster, in this represented as a week. He can also view his own help page. We would provide the same guidelines and different examples depending on the application or they've logged in on the mobile or the desktop. So, So if I log back in as our administrator, final things that we'll discuss are some of the additional options. So on this page, you have the ability to filter by your staff, or by role. So if I just wish to view our staff with a role of ANUM, I can view just these staff, and I can also download the roster in either an Excel or a CSV format. So what I'd like to discuss now is how you can get involved with the AlertSafe program as part of our early adopter program. So if you join up, you'll get a free analysis of your existing rosters using the Opturion roster analyzer. You'll have assistance with the implementation. You'll also have a free trial of the AlertSafe software through to the end of the financial year, which will be fully supported by us. So I'm going to open to any questions as part of the Q&A. So if you have any questions, I encourage you to type them into the chat box where we can answer them. Thanks for tuning in to this live stream. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact Opturion either through the comment section here or via our website. Thank you.